Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is JDavis, and it's really hard to believe that it's January 2022 and that we're still talking about entrepreneurship and business and how to adapt to this economy. This economy is changing at a pace, I think, that really is quite unprecedented. And that's why we like every week speaking with Mark Furman, director at Tarlow, Hart Rodgers. Welcome back, Mark, and glad to see you again.
Happy New Year, Jeffrey. Great to see you.
Good. Nice to see you, obviously. Hope we can do it for many, many more years. Mark, what's hot?
Well, it's a new year, and I've been thinking about, we're all in business, professional service providers, manufacturers, distributors, and we're all trying to help other people. And I was thinking about how that's really wonderful to have that opportunity to help other people. And in addition to being a good thing to do and something that feels good, it also helps build our business and our brands. So I was thinking about a case that I had years ago that I've tried to use as a little bit of something to always keep in mind. We were litigating against a Fortune 100 company, and they had this internal marketing report that we got our hands on through discovery. And they said, the report said, on average, people will talk about you for 28 times on average. That's what the report said. So I always thought to myself, well, what do you want them to say? But, and I tell young lawyers who work with me, and I ask them that question. And, but it's true of every business. What do you want your customers to say? Jeffrey, what do you want your clients to say? What do I want my clients to say? It's not that Furman doesn't care about me. Furman doesn't return my phone calls or doesn't respond to my emails. I'm actually going for something a little different than that. And so when they talk about you on 28 different occasions to 28 different people or more, because they may be talking in a group at a party. There used to be parties, Jeffrey. Maybe there'll be parties someday again.
I figure I fit into the world today because now, I'm not sure I got invited to parties before, and now I'm not invited to parties. So it's great. I fit right in.
Status quo, completely unaffected. So the other, unrelated thing is, this whole pandemic thing, which is so old, has me thinking about, how fortunate I am and how more aware of income and asset inequality there is. And this last week before COVID, I would have had to fly down to Atlanta for depositions. And then those depositions resume next week. So I'd be flying down again on Sunday. And because of COVID, I go from my kitchen into my office and am at the depositions all day. No air travel, none of all the hassles associated with it. And then there are, all these people who earn a very modest amount of money who have throughout COVID been on the front lines. And, as part of helping people, which we're all in business to do, I think thinking about how fortunate we are and considering how we can give back is really important. It's not what I usually talk about here, Jeff, but it's that's what I'm thinking about as we enter year 3 of this pandemic.
You made me think about a few things, Mark, as I hope you make a lot of people think. The third thing I thought about was that I read recently that the nurses in Ontario, Canada, want to go on strike because they feel that they're being undervalued, and they want to be paid as much as police people. And, you're making me think about that and how important they really are, how they are our first line defense right now, how hospitals are overrun, and they're feeling undervalued and underappreciated. And I think people need to be appreciated. And it made me think, I hate to make it about me, what I like to hear from people I work from that they say about me that I like is a lot of times people have said to me over the years, and most recently through COVID, I wish I would have met you a few years ago. I don't know anybody else like you who does what you do. And I think that's important because, people need help making change right now. And making change is really the dominant factor in business and in life right now, and dealing and navigating that. And so trying to help people to make change in my own life is important, and being patient enough to understand people and what their goals are. So I do think you're right. Thinking about what people say about you, your efficacy. We talked before the show about, I told you about a person I know and what I said about that person. And that's, it was not a positive thing. And we want to have positive reputations. We want to be able to, in this world, make a positive contribution. I think it would make things a lot better right now. So I think you brought up a very important message, and one that I think everybody should be thinking about today. What do I want people saying about me? But really, what do I want to be? And in this world, how do I recraft myself or adjust myself for this world that we're now living in?
So we're each in our lines of work are similar, Jeff, in that we each, in giving advice to our clients, frequently have to tell them things that are a little uncomfortable for them, things they don't necessarily like to hear, but they need to hear. And so our credibility as professionals is to tell it like it is, do it in a nice way, but guide people, whether it's legally or in business consulting, so that we can, our advice has value to them. And being a yes man or yes woman to clients is, I certainly believe, is unprofessional and not proper, not
Well, I
ethical.
agree. A yes man, a yes woman isn't right. We could have a discussion about the yes husband. A happy home. But I agree with you. There are a lot of tough decisions we all need to make right now. And I think that's what you're really bringing up. And what's our role in terms of helping people make tough decisions and making our own tough decisions? I don't think there's a professional I know who isn't looking in the mirror right now and also asking themselves these questions, the same questions that their clients are asking them. So this is a time to look in the mirror and ask yourself tough questions every day, thinking about these things. So I appreciate the topic that you're bringing up.
So you mentioned nurses, and I know a nurse who just retired, I guess, who certainly 2 years ago had no intention of retiring now, but just the burnout over what she has experienced and dealt with over the last 2 years. And she works in a hospital, and which, as you know, has been the front line for severely sick COVID patients. And, but I think that she found, the most recent period, the post-vaccine availability period, to be the most difficult because in her view, almost everybody in the ICU is unvaccinated by choice or medical, some medical reason or religious reason, whatever. But I think it burnt her out. So
I think that's an easy subject to touch, and before we go, I'll touch another category. There's a lot of movement around the country about defunding police and new regulations over police forces. And, some of the senior police people I've talked to have told me that they don't want to do arrests anymore because it's only going to get them in trouble. So the things that they may have taken action on before for public safety, they will not take action on today. And almost down to a very minor level. So figuring out how to handle these things moving forward also, I think, is very important to people. Nurses, these people who are public servants, who are here for our public health, the police, the fire department, the nurses, the doctors, we have to understand what they're going through and the pressure they're under too. And their responsibility has been 100% for taking care of us. And we don't want to let a few bad doctors, bad nurses, or let's say bad police people take down the whole system. And so I think we're here too. We're under a great transition and we need to understand what they're going through. They're not happy.
Right. Well, we live in such polarized times where we almost can't agree on what day of the week it is. And there was I saw on 60 Minutes recently, this segment about someone who started a program where politically polar opposites are brought together for a period of time in a controlled environment to talk about their lives, their beliefs, and it seemed like an incredible program to, my view is you first have to humanize people because, believe it or not, we're all human beings, and then you can have conversations. I have the same feeling about people talking to each other who are of different faith traditions. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
And we've found over decades watching the Middle East conflict that where there is cooperation between certain moderate factions in the Middle East with, let's say, Israel, that it's because they found that they had a mutually beneficial reason for working together. And I think finding, points of joint need helps us all to work together. So I think you brought up a good subject. I wish you all the best for 2022. I know you're going to be back on the show many times. If someone's looking for you, Mark, how would they find you?
I can be reached at 617-218-2025. That's my direct line, or email mfurman, Furman, at tbhr-law.com.
And remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.